Hi and welcome to this week's energy forecast. I'm Rachel Thompson Phillips and the energy forecast is for September the 11th through till September the 17th. Now, when I was looking at what the energy for this week will be, the question that I was more wanting the answers around was, how do people stay on track to being able to achieve their dreams? There is so much planetary action going on at the moment, and I'll explain to you why I went in and asked this specific question. This is the year of it being a year one. We are about creating new cycles that we will be able to implement and be able to apply through for the next 8 more years, because we work on a 9-year cycle. So there is so many changes that are occurring for people on a cellular level. There are obstacles that we're overcoming. We have so many emotions that may have been suppressed or hidden. I mean, we all have a little Pandora's box that we've pushed certain emotions from certain stories or painful experiences we've had in our life. And now they're all coming up to the surface. And whilst we're also looking at how we achieve our plans, we spend a great deal of time in our heads. And therefore, we forget to feel. And there are, to a degree, now let me explain that. Whilst we're dealing with all of these emotions that are coming up, there are a lot of feelings that come to the surface that are going to be, for some people, quite painful. And so therefore we get stuck and trapped in the emotions of that feeling from an old period of time, whilst we're starting and wanting to merge with the new exciting emotions that we have around our dreams. And this is causing, for some people, quite a confused emotional state. It's also creating frustration because there's a push-pull going on within ourselves. And what can happen is that we can get to a place where we spend so much time thinking about everything and feeling everything that we reach a place of overwhelm. And that is going to be able to prevent any progress forward. And you can see that this is playing out through this week's cards, because the very first week for the card is stop, Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday and Thursday is around frustration and Friday, and Saturday and Sunday is around star being. So what you're probably wondering, well, it's all really great to hear about all of these things. This is how I'm feeling. Now, how do I go in and create change around that? The greatest gift that you can give to yourself is making a different decision. Now, if you're in a place where you're feeling very, very stuck at this moment and you're trapped in your head and emotionally you're not feeling so awesome, the decisions you are making are based on how you're feeling right at this very, very given moment. And that's why the card for Monday and Tuesday is about coming to stop. This card comes up when we feel exhausted, where we feel like we are giving more than we are getting back. We're exhausted on every level, on a mental, emotional, a physical, a spiritual, and a soul level. And when we reach a level of exhaustion, the only decision that we want to make is to make that all go away. And we feel that we need to be busy all the time because we think, well, if we're doing something that's going to help us feel better, and usually in this point in time, it's not usually making people feel better. And if they're not, if they are actually sitting around, then that can create an animosity within their own self, because if you're a person that's so used to doing, then you're going to feel like, well, you should be doing something, and yet your mind and your body is going, look, I've had enough. I haven't got anything to give at this point. So there's this real internal conflict that's going on within a lot of people at this time and frame and point. And I really want to be able to share some really great tips on how you can overcome feeling that way, so that you can start to feel recharged, start to feel good and amped about the choices and the decisions that you're making, because that is the only difference between how you're thinking and feeling right at this moment, is because you're making the decisions based on not feeling good. And all that's doing is amplifying that emotional state. And therefore that becomes very, very depleting. And rather than it filling up yourself, you're becoming depleted. So you're probably wondering, how do you use rest and relaxation? Rest and relaxation is very different if you actually give yourself that permission and say to yourself, I could be feeling exhausted, I'm emotionally overwhelmed, whatever it is that you're feeling at this moment. If you were to just say to yourself, I'm going to give myself the reprieve to actually relax. Now, relaxation comes because you've given yourself that permission. Like if you go to the movies, you've given yourself permission to rest and relax for that hour and a half, 2 hours that you're there. Now, that's the kind of permission that I'm saying that is really required Monday and Tuesday. And in order to recharge your batteries, the best thing you can do for yourself is to just allow those batteries to be recharged again through rest. And that means resting the mind as well. So, if it's read a book, go for beautiful walks out in nature, spend time with people that are feeling motivated, because what can happen is when you're feeling not so good, you'll usually energetically pull towards you other people that are feeling the same way as well, and then that becomes a collection of people that are all feeling that. So that's not really going to help your current situation. So you want to be around people that feel inspired and know that you're just there to enjoy their company. Some of the greatest gifts that we can give to ourselves is rest and relaxation. We need to be able to have that counterbalance between being busy and productive all the time and rest and relaxation, so that we can execute and distribute our energy in a way that's going to channel and work towards the directions of our dreams. But then we also need to know when to be able to pull back so that your energy levels can recharge again and go and distribute it again in that channel. So rest and relaxation is about having that quietness and that peacefulness within your mind, body, soul connection. So check in with yourself and ask yourself, what is it that you require right now as far as rest and relaxation? It could be gentle exercise. It could be soothing music. For each person, rest and relaxation is so very, very different. And know that when you are actually in a beautiful, restful state, even though you may not be able to see things changing, there will be a change going on within your physical structure, because when your energy levels feel very, very depleted on a physical level, if you go into a self-sabotage behavior, then you can start chasing it with addictions, and that could be coffee, negative behaviors, it could be eating not very good foods. There's lots of ways that we can feed into that addictive self-sabotage behavior, and all that is doing is, again, harboring and suppressing these emotions that are being brought to the surface for you to be able to have a look at. And through stop and rest and relaxation, you can really objectively look at what is really coming to the surface. What can you heal? What can you transform? And sometimes the greatest healing that can come is to surrender those emotions and accept that certain things have occurred in our life and we can't go back and change them. If we could you imagine how different life would be? But the reality is we can't go back and change those situations that came up for you in life, but you can change the way you feel about it right now. And that is done through one decision. Wednesday through till Friday is about frustration. Now, frustration is about being aware of what is going on for you at a core level. You'll usually find as you become exhausted, we become a lot more sensitive towards lots of different situations. So our partners, our work environment, noise, lots of different things can trigger us to feel incredibly frustrated, and we can focus more on those frustrations rather than being able to see what is really going on for you at a core level. And usually you'll find that those core levels are the fact that you know exactly what you need to do right now to move in the direction that you want to go in. But because you're not feeling good, you're not making good choices or that one decision that's going to be able to change your life. And that's the beauty of being able to go in and look at things and examine things from a really kind, from a real soft, nurturing place where you're not emotionally beating yourself up, and being able to really see what is going on for you at a core level. Are you denying yourself emotions? Are you denying the truth of how you truly feel? Are you suppressing old feelings and holding on to them for longer than what it is that you really is beneficial for you right at this point. And these are all the core questions. And once you can go in and bring that real truth to the situation of what's going on for you at this point, that is where transformation is really going to occur for you on such a massive grand scale. And that is going to be that one decision that could decide to change your life. And the beautiful thing is, a lot of the time when we're going through these frustrations and we are feeling a little bit exhausted, we start to think, oh, one more decision to make. Well, guess what? You're making decisions every single minute of the day. Every time you're deciding not to do something is a decision. Every time you're deciding to suppress an emotion, that's a decision. You're making decisions all the time that you may be even unconsciously aware of, but these are not decisions that are helping you move and shift through this energy that's occurring for you. Whereas from this very moment on, from Wednesday to Friday, you can make a choice to do one thing different. And remember, one tiny little step in the directions of your dreams is going to be the decision that either keeps you moving forward towards that, or is going to pull you back and hold you in that crappy old belief system that makes you believe that you can't achieve this. Guess what? You can, and all you have to do is make a different decision. Saturday and Sunday with the spiritual card is about understanding that and this card says, I give myself permission to honor my spiritual essence and celebrate my spiritual journey. We all have a soul contract. That's how I like to see it. So each person can reframe that vision for themselves. But I've always believed that we have a soul contract, and we're all given a journey and a purpose and a passion for what we're here on this earth for. Now, part of our soul contract also brings up the fact that in order for us to learn some really great traits about ourselves, sometimes we learn those from the polar opposites, which is pain and suffering. And yet we can only get stuck in the pain and suffering and fail to see some of the really great gifts that are given to us. And you know what? If everything was amazing, how are you ever supposed to grow and expand as a person? Not that I'm saying that we only expand and grow through difficulties, but through every experience in your life has brought you to this very, very big defining moment. And I think this is where it starts to get really exciting. And I believe that this is where this conflict is going on with inside you, because you've got this battle going on with one part of your brain going, I know something amazing is about to happen. And the other part of your brain is going, I don't feel very good and things aren't turning out the way that I wanted to. And it just goes on this little private pity party. And it's a matter of which voice are you going to listen to. So therefore that becomes that internal conflict. Now, with the spiritual being, if we can come to that level of self-acceptance, we can accept certain experiences that have occurred to us in our world. Would we like to experience them again? I bet you most of you are like me that go, frig, no, thank you. Been there, done it, don't need to live it again. But what is it that I can take from that experience that I can use in my current future? Now, many years ago, I was involved in an incredibly bad boat accident, and for many years I was very consumed by the anger and guilt that I felt about having that experience. And it took me a little bit of a time, because I moved into a place where I became incredibly depressed. That depression moved into anxiety. I got agoraphobia, wanted to commit suicide. Life was pretty hell at that time. And I made a very big decision at that time, when suicide was playing in my mind, that it was I could either choose to take myself out, or I could decide to make a different decision. And I had thought to myself, I hadn't lived through a life-threatening boat accident to then take myself out. So I started examining what it was about the boat accident that taught me my biggest lesson. And my biggest lesson that I took from it was that you are given one life. And I believe that every person has a calling. And I knew what mine was, but I was playing a very, very small game. And I decided in that very given moment that it was time to start living what I knew was my truth. And from that moment on, I moved myself back into state with my family. I enrolled myself back in school. And every single day, I tell you, it was a struggle to drive myself to school, because the whole trip from home to school, all I kept thinking about was every excuse not to go. And with time and with persistence and consistency, those emotions went. And then my focus only became on living my truth and what that meant for me. And so that's what I'm saying to you right at this point, is that you may not be feeling great right at this moment. And that's okay. Be okay with where you are. But you can still make a really great decision to move towards those dreams that you want. And you can do that whilst you're not feeling so good, and with consistency and persistence and repetition, with going through certain actions of getting yourself up, doing certain action steps, making the decision that is closer towards your dreams. Before you know it, it's not going to take long before you are 20 steps closer towards that dream. And all of a sudden you start waking up in the morning and you do start feeling fabulous about yourself. Because I tell you, staying feeling crappy may feel good in a short term, but long term, the detrimental effect that is going to have on you on every level of self is going to be incredibly draining. And I don't want that for you. I want you to feel good about the decisions and the choices that you're making. So this week's biggest overall theme is you are one decision away from changing your life. Are you going to make that choice today, or when is going to be the right time for you? I wish everyone an incredibly amazing, amazing week. My biggest advice this week is be aware that there is a heightened level of sensitivity that's occurring. So try not to make decisions based on that level of sensitivity. Make it the decisions that you choose based on the dreams and the goals that you want. And I bet you any money you'll make a different choice. So take care, be kind, and be good to you. But most of all, be you.